thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. It is the beginning of the August knit along. If you haven't already been clued into what we're doing this month, every time I upload for the month of August, you are going to be seeing me working on the Mitt the Family pattern. And the link is still in the description box if you would like to jump in at any point and start working with us. That is the project that I will be working on. I believe Jenny, who is a subscriber, is also going to be participating, and right now it's just the two of us who I think have vocalized that this is what we're going to be doing for August. So if you would like to join Jenny and I and you're just kind of on the sidelines and haven't spoken up, go ahead, and if you do have Instagram, tag me if you do post your progress while you work along with this, or comment below if you plan on joining, or if you have said, yes, I'm going to buy this pattern and participate in the knit along as well. We would love to have you. The more the merrier. So yes, it is. Storm clouds are rolling in. The daylight has disappeared. It is feels like 100-degree day. We have some kind of crazy Midwest weather coming in this evening, but I did want to make sure that I knit despite how hot it is. I would rather, you know, be drinking a nice iced tea or something, but we're gonna power through because August is hot. It's pretty crazy as far as weather goes in the Midwest. I mean, it's kind of topsy-turvy here in the States anyway with weather, but Midwest, I think it's like this weird seasonal pattern changes where it's super hot, it's cold, it's rainy, it's hail, there's wind, there's tornadoes, there's more rain, there's power outages, there's more tornadoes, there's more rain, there's sun, there's crazy cold. It's just a whole lot of horrible all year long, but right now it's just hot and rainy, apparently. So because I've said in some other of my videos that I don't have access to a printer. I have a printer, but the ink is really dry, and I'm trying really hard not to spend the crazy amount of money it costs to get more toner for my home printer. I used to print at work when I was in the building, and it was no big deal, and I haven't really had to use my home printer in years and years and years. So it's dried up, so I actually wrote down the pattern in my notebook that I keep with me. It's for work, it's for pleasure. I've been tracking my progress in the time lapse, so I just have a notebook where I wrote down the whole pattern instead of trying to find a printer to print it in from Ravelry. So as the pattern says, you have to use US size 6 DPNs, and in my trusty knapsack that I've been using, well, I used to use it when I would have projects at work to knit, I pulled out my set of 5 US size 6, and this is the Pony brand DPN. I love the plastic ones, metal, plastic, wood, varnished wood, not bamboo. I don't know, would you consider bamboo wood? It's a shoot. Is it a bamboo tree? Bamboo material. Stock? I don't know. Anyway, plastic I do have. I have plastic, and I have a varnished metal set of, or varnished wood set of size 6 US. This pattern also, if you haven't yet checked out the Ravelry description and purchased this, it is a DK weight pattern. So if you remember from some of my other videos, I did 2 baby blankets. I did the magic number blanket using some seafoamy, tealy, bluey, greeny, cream colorway, and so I have some left over of that. And then the last one that I finished in the last couple months was the bold baby blanket, and that was a purple, like lilac-y colorway, and so I have the purple left over. So my plan for this first set is to knit it for myself, because every time I try to knit something for somebody else first, somehow I mess it up and it ends up becoming something for myself anyway, so might as well just designate this first try as Paws and Pearls Personal Mitt the Family Start Trial. So my goal is to have the cuff be this lighter color and the main hand part be this purple, because I figure the cuff, because it's not touching a lot of stuff, it won't get as dingy and dirty, so a lighter color for the cuff makes sense for me. And then for the part that's going to be in contact with a lot of things would be the darker color, so it doesn't get dirty as, like, it'll still get dirty, but it won't look as dingy as quickly as if the glove part, like the hand palm area, was this lighter color. So cuff is going to be this, main hand area is going to be this. There is a gusset for the thumb, and there aren't any individual fingers, it doesn't look like, from the pattern. So let me go ahead and cast on the proper amount of stitches for the size that I'm knitting for my hand. Okay, so with a little bit of work, I have joined in the round as instructed, placed my stitch marker at the beginning of the round so I know where I am, and now I can go ahead and do what we need to do, which is to do a little bit of rib stitching. So let's go on in. So tell me if you are participating in this knit along, what is your colorway? Are you doing solid color? Are you doing any Fair Isle? Are you doing any kind of color work? Maybe even a yarn that stripes by itself? I would love to hear your thoughts on how you're making this work. Now I am holding this double just to knit a couple so that my tail is incorporated and it's not as long and weird and cumbersome to weave in. So I'm just doing a little bit of that for a couple stitches here, and then now that it's going to be facing the inside, I'll let it go so it'll be easy to weave in without it showing so much. And mine's a little bit tight, but not too bad. Just joined in the round, I slipped a stitch, so there we go. Slide those down. Get a purl. Always when I start a purl on another DPN, I have to make sure I kind of give it a good tug so it doesn't get too slack. But yes, this is Paint Box Baby DK. It's 100% acrylic. And I thought, if I'm going to be doing this knit along, might as well use some yarn that I already have. Try to think about more stash busting projects. Tricky since I slipped the stitch, I have to move them around, but I was like, might as well just knit them through and add, oops, the next one I need to rotate over like so. So now we'll do knit. And if all goes well, this will be, not this pair, but I'll try it again and make it as a holiday gift. If I can get through pretty quickly, we'll see. That's my goal anyway, is to be able to get through pretty quick. Who knows? 2. It's always the first row that it's like so awkward for me, and then finally after a while I kind of get into it, you know, once I see where I am and make sure nothing's twisted and all that stuff. Then it starts to kind of come together like this. Okay. So we got one round complete. Making sure I keep track of where we are so we don't cut out any important parts. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna pause, I guess, the video so that we can continue with the other rounds until we move on to the next step. We are back from our little break to start the video again, or not start it over, but just continue where we left off. So considering that this pattern is very quick when it gets into what you need to do, the actual portion that's just this blue area isn't very long at all before we go into shaping everything. So it's very interesting because there's not much going on before we get in there, but yeah, it's just a nice little pattern, but at least there's like a little bit of an accent color, I suppose. But since this is the first mitt, we'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to continue with where I was. So we're now on round 2 of working on the cuff, if you're curious. Oh, hee hee hee. What did I just do? Ah, there we go. Missed my knits. There we go. Knit 2. There we are. Now, I don't know if I should be using 4 DPNs, but I've been knitting socks lately, so I've been using 3 DPNs when I work, and decided that I would just give it a shot, treat it kind of like knitting socks and see what happens, since I have not knit a mitten before, or a glove for that matter. So not too sure like how many I should be using, and the pattern didn't specify either how many DPNs I needed. It just said you needed size 6, so we'll see. And I did not look up any kind of tutorial or anything like that to see if there was anyone else who has worked on this before. I'm hoping I won't need to rely on a tutorial, but we'll see. Starting on those pearl ones are not the easiest. Let me know in the comments if you are a 1x1 rib person. Are you a 2x2? Are you a 3x1? What's your favorite kind of rib stitch? I am not partial to any one yet. I kind of like having something continuing, so like a 2x2 or a 3x1, just so that I have a little bit more repetition than knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Switching up a lot isn't my favorite at the moment. I have not grown to appreciate that yet, and I think part of that is because I have been working on a pattern that requires a lot of that, the Jolie Mimi cardigan, and it's just never ending knitting and purling, and I like a little bit more consistency with variation, if that makes any sense. But I'd love to hear if you have a preference, just to kind of see where everyone's coming from when it comes to what kind of rib stitch you like, or do you not like it at all? And because I'm not well versed in rib, I've only knit 3 different types. I'm curious, like, how far out can you go with your pattern where you're only knitting before you purl again, or you're only purling before you knit again? Like, how many knits and purls does it take to qualify as rib stitch? Or as long as there is some kind of valley and meadow type of thing, is that all that matters? Is that there's like a little bit of a divot in between the stitches? Or does it have to be pretty close together to count as rib stitching? That is something I'm not 100% sure about. But I'm hoping maybe some of you guys out there who are more experienced would be able to provide me with some insight, if there is any kind of rhyme or reason to what qualifies as rib, as long as it's a knit and purl combo that is consistent, like you see columns of it, or is there a ratio of knits to purls that have to be established to qualify as rib? And I just finished another round, so I need to keep track, and I need to keep track of my pen too. But yes, whoa, there we go. Almost lost that. So you noticed that last week I didn't have any videos up. I was so if you remember how, like, I had that video about the sock that I messed up, well, I messed it up the second time too. I was just so excited to finish it and start on the second one that I ended up doing a rib. Actually, as we talk about rib stitching, I did a 1x1 instead of a 3x1 around the cuff, and then it wasn't until I got to shaping the heel, or doing the heel flap and then picking up the stitches and knitting across, I'm like, this doesn't look right. Like, this looks a little bit thicker than the other one. And then come to look at the other one that's sitting right there, it was not. And I was knitting it all day last weekend, like all of Saturday. I was just like, I'm just gonna knock this sock out. I'm gonna finish this sock over the weekend, get my life back, work on the next one. And I was like, oh gosh darn it. So now I have 2 socks. I still have to knit the one that I need to for this present, and I'm just like, wow, I don't know. Oh, it's so bad. Oh. Okay, so I need to tighten up my purl. So I can see there's already a big gap right here. And I thought I pulled it tight the last time, but I guess I didn't enough anyway. So scooch it. Try that again. I'm just gonna tighten them up so that they actually don't make that gap anymore. Okay. Alright, But since these are just for me, if there's anything weird, it won't be the end of the world, but it'll give me some lesson on what to do next time. But honestly, I probably should make sure I'm always starting with the knit. I think that makes sense. So I'll move those over on the next round. So like these start with the knit, so it's easier to pull that yarn tight between the gap of the DPNs, but when you start on a purl, which I remember being tricky when I was doing the Rhyolite socks the first time, because I didn't have the right amount of DPNs. I was using 4 and I should have been using 3. It didn't start the right way across the top of the foot, and I had this ridge. And then when I looked at the how-to on their website of Tin Can Knits, it actually, I said, you know, you need to cast on or arrange your stitches so that your top of the foot is on one needle. I was like, whoopsie. So the second pair look a lot better, a lot better. Even the second sock I did looks better than the first one, because by then I realized that the site was more useful than I thought it would be. Alright, so we just finished another round. Moving right along here. So I get to start on a knit at the beginning of my round, so I need to remember that my second needle, I need to move my purls over so that I end on purls and not starting on purls, because that's when I have the weird gaps in my cuff. Knitting now is getting faster because I have established my round. I can see where I am, and there's more knitting to hold on to, so it's kind of like weighing itself and not flipping around and being weird like it is when you very first cast on and start your knitting. That part gets so weird. So now I'm going to do my purls. Just move my DPNs over, add those to the one next door, and then use my empty DPN to start the round the way it should be. Some slack here. Alright. This is good. Oh man, when I'm done filming, you guys, I'm excited. I got a grocery delivery today, and they had mangoes in stock, and I love mangoes, so I'm so happy to eat some for dessert tonight. It's like, woo, excited. Alright, so now we are the last needle of our round here. We're moving right along. I'm trying to think, like, what is the estimate how far we think I'll be able to finish this if I'm only knitting it on camera. That's gonna be, okay, we're gonna start out like that. So here we are on Saturday, 1st of August, knitting this, and my prediction is it's gonna be a while, but if I just keep churning out videos with you guys and only film when I work on this, maybe I don't know if it'll be a whole month, because we're already almost halfway through the cuff, but I don't know. It's hard to tell with me because of how fast I go, or my schedule, what's going on, all of those things, of course, you know, normal life stuff that factor in. So we just finished our 4th round. So we have about 12 minutes left on the clock. So let's go ahead. Yeah, 12 minutes. So let's try to do another round or two. And then say that's like our video segment. And then I'll film some more. And then that'll be for Sunday. And then some more. And all that stuff, you know. See how it goes. So we'll do this round. But as I say, I have to tell myself it's a marathon, not a race, because that's when I start to fluster myself. Sometimes that's when I mess up, kind of like when I was so determined to finish that sock that I ended up having to make another one anyway. Actually, that weekend I ended up doing some reorganizing and just kind of inspecting my yarn stash, because, you know, it's all in totes, so I don't see it all. I mean, they're clear totes, but I don't have them like out in a open area where I can really like get an eye of like everything I have. And it was almost like going to a yarn shop again, because there's stuff in there that I haven't seen in a while, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember getting this and having an idea for what to knit with it. And so when I was rummaging through to get the yarn for this project, I pulled out some other sock yarn that I had mentioned before in other videos, but honestly it wasn't what I remembered it looking like. So that's good that I got to take a look at it. And then there was some sock yarn that I forgot I had a cake of, so I brought that out. So I'll be able to continue working on more socks off camera this month, so that I have some other gifts ready, hopefully, depending on how long this one takes. And this one isn't for everybody in my family either, so I still gotta keep on with my timetable of hopefully getting everybody a gift ready by early December. And even though I've been in my house since the beginning of the year, time is just flying by, it seems like. Like the week is just zooming by. And now zoom is becoming like a verb, as if Google is a verb, so that's something I'd never expected. Here we go. Finishing that round. Okay, so now we just finished our 5th round, so we are almost through the cuff, guys. So we'll call it a section for today. The next time you see me, it'll be tomorrow. Your tomorrow, my today. I'm gonna have another video up where we just continue working on the cuff and see how far we get. But I'm sure by the time you see that video, you're gonna be a lot further along than I am. But at least I'll be, in the background doing the same thing by the time you see the next upload. Okay, so with that, I hope you have a great day wherever you are. Let me know what your details are of the project, if you're doing, what kind of DPNs you're using, if there's any material that your DPNs are made out of that you're just loving and you're using for this project. Are you using a new kind of yarn or a tried and true? Are you working on busting through your stash like I am and just have something that's DK on hand? Have you knit this pattern before if you're tuning in and are not participating? But if you are participating, have you worked on this? This is a first for me. So with that, I will catch you tomorrow in my next upload. Bye!